Hey there, how are you? It's a pleasure being here again to talk to you about Stack Insights. As you know, it's time and place to talk about biggest challenge in technology leaders, what they are facing in terms of driving efficiency and business impact. I'm glad to have here with me today Rod Pedrati, our Regional Director for StackSpot. He's based in San Antonio, Texas. Pleasure to have you here, Rod.
Hey, Mike, thanks. Pleasure all mine.
It's absolutely great to talk to you and absolutely great topic today. As the industry have seen, Gartner just released yesterday what they call 10 most important priorities in terms of technology for 2024. The industry really expect in this time of the year that Gartner would provide a prediction what's going to happen in the next year, in this case, 2024, in terms of what's going to happen in terms of the industry. You might think, okay, AI, what's going to happen in terms of advanced cloud, those kind of things. Yeah, that's right. But a lot of the additional things that they have put over there. But most importantly, one of the things that we're going to discuss today is about the priority number 4 and the priority number 5, which they are talking about the platform engineering and the AI argument to really transform the developer experience. It's going to be a very interesting conversation, Rod, because of course, what we are seeing here in the US and globally, companies looking for those absolutely platforms to transform the developer experience in the industry because they need to deliver a faster and better experience for the business. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, in reading the same article, I think what was really interesting is what Gartner's saying about platform engineering. So Gartner stating that by 2026, right, which is not too far off, about 80% of all the software engineering organizations, they will be establishing platform teams. And those teams are really going to be internal providers of reusable services. They're going to be providing components and tools for application delivery. Now, if you think about it, why would a company invest time and money in doing this? And it's simple, right? There's everything about time to value, being able to code faster, deliver better services to your end customers, and do it with the least amount of friction as possible. So basically, they're saying for a developer to do that, we must reduce their cognitive load, and these platforms are a way to accelerate the development process. And then, the second piece that they talk a lot about is on AI augmented development. I'm sure you've used ChatGPT. Lord knows I use it about every day. And, I like it a lot. It really is not going to replace who I am, what I do, but it does help me expedite a lot of things, right? So that's kind of how Gartner's looking at it. So, if we fast forward a little bit, like, I don't know, 4 years from now, right? 2028, the prediction is about 75% of all the enterprise software engineers, they're going to be using some type of a solution for AI coding, right? A type of assistant. And that's up from less than 10% earlier this year, right? So I think these things are very interesting, and I'm really excited about to see what's going to happen.
I completely agree with you, and that's very exciting. But you talk very, very nicely about the AI argument development, and I really love it. But there are people maybe asking us now, platform engineering, because you have DevOps and those are different tools that have repository, talk about connecting some reuse application in the future, etc. But I think we should discuss together about what is platform engineering specifically. And I have a great example to share with you. The one customer asked me about that because a lot of, if you think about the developer journey, yes, they have the repository. They all use GitHub, GitLab, wonderful tools about that. But in the complex organization, they really have a big challenge. They need to use different softwares, tools, infrastructure, databases, APIs, and absolutely companies that have many, many developers, different business units. It's very hard. The cognitive load is so high. So the developers really understand what they're going to do. It's interesting, Rod, because as we talk to clients here in the US, the average company that they really connect, the developer really connect in the code, they start coding, takes 3 to 5 weeks. Yes, 3 to 5 weeks to really start doing anything. because they need approvals, software, infrastructure, etc. In summary, I think we say that's the main first goal of the platform engineering, to packaging every single software, infrastructure, and CTO decision makings, including secured guardrails and an executable architecture for the developer to start delivering code. And as you said, in terms of the AI argument coding, imagine packaging those kind of those ideas. So what we are saying is reducing the initiative code from the developers from 3 to 5 weeks to 1 day, and then accelerating, as you said, the coding process by 75%. Is that right? Is that right? Is that what's right I'm saying here? That's the expectation from Gartner?
It is, right? Again, I think all of these things, they come down to very simple metrics, and that metrics for a CIO, for a business owner, is time to value, right? And it's really about return on investment. Look at the cost for any developer nowadays, right? The fully burdened cost of a developer, very easy in the low six figures and up, right? And COVID even drove those prices higher. So when when a CIO is looking at delivering value to their end customers and bringing in a new developer, which first of all is very, very expensive for you to hire, train, and maintain developers in a company, because they tend to move around so quickly, right? So you want to be able to get the most value out of them as quickly as possible. And I mean, I've personally worked in several consulting engagements where just the time for us to get access to the machines, get access to our repositories, basically be at a position where we can even start writing a line of code, it was painful. Like on some orgs, it would take us very close to 6 weeks, right? And that's just for me to get started. And then, when you want to start delivering value quickly, and there's so many intricacies, there's so many interdependencies nowadays, especially if you're, for example, a large financial institution, right? They have a lot of legacy applications, most of it still in mainframe. Now they have a hybrid environment. They're still keeping their on-prem for distributed systems. They have cloud environments. And for one person, for one developer to truly be a master in all of those disciplines, right? It's just impossible. It's too much, right? And then you start looking at the cloud. The cloud even brought even more services like microservices, being able to expand and contract infrastructure. Again, right? I can list a million things. The point is, it's impossible for somebody to know everything, right? So you need to have various teams. Then you have to set them up as product teams. And again, right? All of that takes time and money. So the long story short here, right, from a CIO's point of view, is how can I get biggest bang for the buck, and how can I get my developers starting to develop, bringing value to the company day one. That's why it's so important having these platforms, because not only they give you reusable code, reusable infrastructure, they also make sure that you built in all of your security, your guardrails, in a way that's very easy for a developer to consume and deploy their code to the cloud, to on-prem, right, in a very seamless way. And it'll cut down a lot of the famous, all of the approvals, right, all of the approvals that you need to get from cyber. That just helps to streamline the whole process. So I think you're going to start seeing a very large growth in enterprise development platforms. You're going to start seeing a lot of higher increased rates of consumption of internal development portals. So anyways, all of these things here combined reduce the cognitive load for your developers, and it should accelerate your time to market.
Makes sense. In terms of the StackSpot, when you mention about the EDP and the StackSpot AI, let's talk about, because I want to relay that what Gartner just predicted yesterday, that they are advising CIOs to really be what they call rising the builders, making sure that the companies can really build or buy a platform that can provide both technologies for them. And I'm very happy to discuss about that, because we started developing the StackSpot EDP in 2019 to really package all the information I have discussed earlier. But it's interesting to say that connected to the EDP, possibly the customer can have also the AI version. But a lot of companies are talking about AI, right? And I understand there are companies training LLM, there are companies that are doing different approaches to the LLM. And I understand we do what we call hyper-contextualization, using a knowledge source specifically. What are your thoughts about that and how the AI component of the AI combined with the EDP can provide an end-to-end solution to the client?
I think that's a great point that you bring, right? And again, I always like to look at technology as a business enabler. And with the same point of view, right? I want to know how can accelerate my time to value? How can it increase my ROI? So, when you start looking at a legacy application, like a COBOL app, you have business logic. And like an example would be for me to be able to print pay stub, right? The way you write that on Cobalt is going to be a whole lot different than how you would write it natively, either on, like, say, Python or Java. So, in order for you to actually move the business code, the business logic away from the mainframe into one of these modern applications, that's very hard. It's very time consuming. And we were looking at ways how can we help accelerate that. And we thought, wouldn't it be great if we could give very specific knowledge sources like access to our repositories for the mainframe apps, for how I write my Java apps, and bring all of that context together, and then I can ask very guided questions to the AI. So one of those would be, I need you to translate business logic from this application over to Java. And what we were able to create through our LLM is being able to connect those knowledge sources, having the AI accurately translate the COBOL business logic into Java and accelerate the creation of the new application. So kind of a long-winded way of saying that there's a lot of great use cases out there, but AI is only as good as the information as you feed to it. So if you're going to get something that's hyper-contextualized, you need to find a way to make sure it has the right knowledge sources so it can give you better code.
Interesting. So, let's think about the developer experience because, of course, as you said, the business impact at the end of the day, what the companies are looking for, but also in terms of getting the developers more productive, let's look on the developer perspective for a moment. So, by using EDP and an AI technology together package, so what would be the developer experience? They're going to receive a workspace, they're going to use a workspace, and from that experience, the workspace, they won't need to look at any different patterns and any different software as infrastructure package. And by using the knowledge source, they're going to accelerate their code at the same workspace specifically. Is that right? So that's a kind of simple way to see how the developers will leverage a platform to really get more productive?
Yeah, absolutely, right. So, when we were developing this platform, we really thought about cognitive load. Any new developer, right? Again, it's impossible for everybody to be a full stack developer. And there's so much to know, so much to learn. And then you start looking at all the various interdependencies and security needs for your own organization, right? It's impossible for any one person to know everything, right? So we started thinking, okay, how can we reduce that cognitive load? Also, how can we reduce the amount of approvals, right? Just to have a seamless experience and make the experience better for the developer, right? Because I've seen in a lot of organizations where that process was so painful, it took so long for them to start doing driving value. And once they start coding, they had to interact with so many different organizations, and it just wasn't a really good process. And we saw that usually within 6 months, new developers, they just up and quit. They say, we don't want to do that anymore. Right. So when we start thinking about that, we thought about, okay, how can we give them a way to start delivering value very quickly? So that's how we came about with the concept of workspaces. Is me as a developer, I go in, I have access to all of my plugins, all of my stacks. I already have a lot of pre-built applications, pre-built code ready for me to use. I can actually deploy my code very quickly to the cloud, because we abstract the cloud parameters that a lot of times, developers are not the ones necessarily deploying environments. Usually goes to an infrastructure team, but we abstracted as much as we could to make that process so much easier. And what we tend to see is you can get a junior developer, brand new person, and be able to deploy a new application on their first day of work, because we made the process so simple. So I think, when you look at expanding that at large organizations, your time to value is just going to accelerate. So that's why we're going to see more and more of these platforms come about.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So in summary, what we are saying here for the CIOs that are looking or they are enjoying the Gartner 2024 10 top priorities, that if they want to start doing that, not next year and not in 2026, they can start right now. So we are happy to demo, to have a POC with them, and I understand they can click here and they can schedule a demo with me or our team and our technical team.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I'll go back to always my point, right? Looking at it from a business perspective, majority of our customers, right? And we work a lot with large financial organizations, right? Their reason of being is to provide good financial services to their clients, right? It's not necessarily to be building and maintaining software. That those lines are getting blurry. But my point here is, for you to bring in an EDP solution, it's going to require you to also make a very large investment of people, of money, for you to create the platform and for you to maintain it, because it becomes a product as a living being. So the way we like to think is, why would you spend that time, that money, the effort, right, for you to build something when we already have something off the shelf that can be customized, but you can start using it right away. And by the way, we're the ones that are keeping up with all of your updates, with all of the maintenance, just like a Salesforce would do it for you. So anyways, right, when we look at time to value and ROI, definitely makes sense for you to find something that can meet your needs off the shelf.
Absolutely. Rod, it was a pleasure talking to you today. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed. Share with your developers and developer leaders in your industry, because if you follow Gartner, if you enjoy the perspective that Gartner is providing for next year, why not starting getting something this year? Thank you so much, and looking forward to continue this conversation in our next episode. Thank you so much.
Thank you.